Hello, I'm back. I'm hoping that that's going to help. Yeah, just internet has been a little bit up and down somehow. So so hopefully that's going to help. I'm streaming at a low bit rate now, so fingers crossed. Yeah, microphone is fine. Yeah, everything else is normal and fine. So we'll see. Yeah, no, it's yeah, I mean, Anakin, after the war with that he'd written, obviously, in oh dear, Ding's thinking already, but yeah, with stuff that the stuff that he'd written for the Nazis during the war, he was sort of persona non grata, and yeah, it's very few people were willing to touch him, and yeah. It's a whole. I mean, the only the thing that you have to say about Alekhine is, I mean, what a life he had, right? I mean, caught in between both wars, and he lost everything twice in his life. So he was quite well off from a quite well off family, and then the Russian Revolution happened, the First World War, Russian Revolution, and yeah, I mean, he is quite well documented. He came very close to losing his life a number of times, and then he built everything up. He got his chateau in France, his wife, and everything, and then Second World War happens, and basically he loses everything. It's I think yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I find it's very hard to judge people's actions and all of that when you consider everything that somehow. But yeah, amazing lives actually that the chess players had in that time. I mean, there must be there's biographies, really good, historical biographies waiting to be written. Alekhine's had quite a lot written about him now. Elkan Ruby, hey, Mr. Beads, has written. There's been a lot of him. There's someone like Tartakova, for example. If I was a real historian and I had plenty of time, that would be the biography I wrote. He just, his life spans so many things, and he was incredibly. I mean, he was in the French Resistance. He was Polish, of course, originally. Everything that could have happened to him somehow. And he was a very strong player, and very interesting person as well. That would be a biography, really. But new paper, English refugee. I'll have a little look at that. It's oh my goodness. Let's concentrate on the game just for a moment. But thanks. I'll have a look at that. Of the season. Well done, Max. Well done. So this is interesting and is seriously resembling what we had yesterday. So maybe Gukesh is doing a subtle reminder to Ding of, hey, this worked yesterday. Must be said, Gukesh will be quite well prepared for these types of positions. Now, interesting to see what Gukesh does here. So let's just have a little look to see what you like. So c4, e6, the pretty solid way of doing it. Bishop g2, knight x, knight f3. And Leela saying that d4 is best there. The idea of this move order is to try and reach some sort of Catalan without allowing the really sharp early lines, or a bishop b4 check, of course, of Winnie. So you delay, you just delay playing d4, and then the most principled for black is to play the move for yourself. And then after castles, you've got two main lines. You've got c5, which is my favorite, and the one that I always played. And you've got knight c6 was played. I think it was also played in, didn't really improve. Is the audio a bit choppy? Let me, I'm just going to try and, I mean, I think everyone's right. I think it definitely is a bit choppy, the audio, most likely. I'm just closing as many things as I reasonably can, and just trying to see whether that's going to improve things. Sort of looking okay. Tech issues, indeed. Yeah, no. I switched internet because I thought it might help, but maybe it hasn't. Let's just give it a little go, if that's possible. No, CPU is great. I mean, I'm on a hell of a machine here, and I've got 32 threads and 24 cores, and I've got no problem at all like that. Let's just leave it for a little while, because I mean my internet was playing up a little bit. Actually, I think maybe the restream site was playing up rather. And otherwise, if it doesn't work, I might cut the stream at some stage and switch over to a different internet, see whether that helps or not. So just bear a little while. Don't want to cut the stream too often, but I think if I switch to a different internet, then yeah, it will. We will get that somehow. But I just give it 5 minutes or something, and then I just set a timer. Give it 10 minutes. Let's give it 10 minutes. Then otherwise, I will try and switch to a different internet there. And we'll see. So yeah, C5. This is a line that I've played an awful lot with black. Actually, this very position I've had countless times against Stockfish and against hierarchs testing out. It's surprisingly somehow that the key is you don't actually want to play the move E5, which is a bit counterintuitive, but it just weakens your light squares. You want to try and just develop around that. And yeah, this is the sort of thing that you get. You know, the knight comes round to C4, white tries and plays B4. It's kind of quite nice, really, but for white. But yeah, I always struggled with black somehow with these things. But what Gukesh has done is played the move knight C6, which is a completely different way of playing. And actually, this was played in Carlsen, Nepomniachtchi Carlsen, I believe. Actually, I think we'll have to check that game. But I think this was played in the last World Championship here. But let's have a little look to see what's happening. I would have thought, to be honest, that the Gukesh would have prepared this as well as white, to be honest. So yeah, it was quite an interesting choice there from Ding. So E3 and then Bishop E7. Yeah, I've played these lines with E5, and actually then taking back with the pawn on D4, and I found them very awkward with black somehow. I always seem to end up unpleasantly worse with no play. Interesting to see that that Leela is playing bishop takes D4 and basically avoiding having a pawn fixed on D4. I find that quite interesting. But bishop E7 played by Gukesh. Let's have a little look at see what happened there. Board. Wait a minute. What's happening here? C4, D5, bishop G2, knight F6, knight F3, D4, bishop E7. Magnus delayed playing knight F6. Okay, let's have a look there. So what have we got? So it's not exactly that, indeed. Double up the research time, yeah. Yeah, I think that I had some issues connecting to Restream this morning. I got kicked out, and then I had to connect back again. So I wonder whether Restream is use Restream.io. I wonder whether they're having a slight problem. But yeah, I hope it's not too bad for everyone. Yeah, it's probably not very much I can do. I can try and switch internet. Maybe that would be better. I don't have. I've switched off. I don't have my VPN on or anything like that. So and my PC's at like yeah, 35% CPU. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So E takes D4 is the main line here. Ding is having a little think. I don't know whether he would have expected this somehow. Actually, maybe that's a good little point. Let's just see whether Gukesh has played this sort of thing before. Having a look at the games. C4, E6, knight E3, D5. Okay, we might end up transposing, I think. Just having a look to see whether Gukesh has played this D4 line before. Oh yeah, he has played this line before, twice actually. He's played against Injic in 2022. Oh, he's also played. But he played C5 somehow. So he's had two games. He's had a game where at this stage after D4, White played the move B4, which is known but not particularly great, and also a line where White played E3 and took all very quickly there. Noticeable but not terrible. Okay, I'll have a look. I might try and switch a little bit later. Sorry about this, everyone. It's I get the feeling it's out of my power, unfortunately, but yeah, we'll give it a go. Yeah, so there was a line where there's a game against Indic, which might. Oh yeah, there's a game against it, but after castles. Here, Gukesh actually played the move C5, and then E3 happened. So knight C6 is a novelty for Gukesh in actual fact, and then E3, bishop E7. But this is a fairly normal position, although it hasn't had that many high-level tests yet. It's not really. I played bishop C5. Okay, we're maybe not going to quite get the same thing then. Thanks, Dumo. It's really not that bad. Okay, yeah, I'll see whether I can switch it around and see whether that helps. It's just you're also worried about just making it worse somehow. In principle, I'm on really fast internet here, so which is normally sort of super stable and super good, but I do suspect I've got some restream issues. But okay. Okay, so what actually got possible in this line for White? E takes D4 is the main line. There's D3 as well, which is, and there's also A, which feels a little bit Gukeshi actually, for very similar to what yesterday. The main move very much E takes D4 here. And then we go knight takes D4, and then afterwards, yeah, White's got a couple of things. Knight C3 has been played B3, but knight takes D4 is normal. I mean, it's always these things, you know. You play D3 now, and you just try and catch the queen and play bishop E3 and D4. And then the interesting thing is, you know, whether black play the move castles. That's been the most common. And obviously bishop E3 no longer possible, not yet possible because of queen B2. So either you go knight C3 or you go queen E2. It depends a bit how worried you are about the D3 pawn. Why play knight c6? Yeah, the idea of playing knight c6 is that black wants to just play e5, and you're back. This is actually if you did this as right. Let me just show you how it would look. So this is a sort of a known opening with white somehow, and then this is supposed to be, you know, this is supposed to be somehow quite decent for white. You know, you play a4, you keep the square c4 maybe for a knight, you know, and this is quite a common sort of just play some random moves. h3, knight d2. This is quite a common setup for white somehow. Bishop e, you know, and having the knight on c4 rather than the pawn, your centre's a little bit less solid, but your pieces are a bit more active. So that's the whole idea of this system. So you're doing it with black basically, but you're actually the black tempo down, and you're also playing e6 to e5. So in principle, you're playing a slightly better maybe structure, but you're a couple of tempi down. So you know that's kind of you're not 100% sure how great that is. But Ding has played the move d3 actually, so not the main line. But it has been played in 4 games as far as I can see. But e5 is the main line, absolutely the main line. And this was what I was talking about. I was having problems with this stuff somehow. Leela, Stockfish, we're always playing moves like a bishop f4, rook e1, knight a3 to b5, and I was just ending with problems there. So I never really liked these structures very much. So d takes e3 is kind of a radical solution to that problem, and also gives Ding a decision. In a way, it's maybe not. He's got to decide between bishop e3 and f takes e3. F takes e3 instinctively feels like the move you'd want to play, right? Because, you know, you're sort of getting the F file and you sort of feel, well, I've got this for me somehow. So F takes e3 would be my favorite move. What does Leela think? Leela wants bishop takes e. I would have thought that with contempt that Leela would want F takes e3, to be honest. Bishop takes more solid here. If you want to play d4, right? So if you could play d4 here, you just have a nice advantage. The knight's badly placed on c6 then. But black uses the opportunity to play e5, and of course you can see what can happen there. We can get d4 and stuff can get swapped off. Although the chances that that's a slight edge for white somehow. But it's an interesting position there. If white doesn't play d4, e5 pawn might be a little bit weak. And you see Leela sort of trying to play around all that. Rook d1. You know, this is quite an interesting position, actually. I mean, I think that black's just first here. I don't actually like these positions as black, I have to say. I don't like this pawn on e5. I don't like always watch out and hold it and hope that I can counterattack something else. So, in principle, I liked what white is doing here. But yeah, there's a choice. I mean, f takes e3. You feel a little bit more. You feel a little bit more sexy, really. Yeah, you're opening f file. You'll play like this, but Leela going for a very sharp line here, you know, and claiming that that the lines, the bishop can come to f6, compensate for the fact that you're probably going to lose that pawn at some stage. Actually, you see it happening very quickly. Yeah, I mean, you lose this pawn, but Leela says, "Okay, oh look at this." Leela saying, "Swap, give the exchange back then," and claim that 2 bishops and a great knight on c6 there, that this is going to work. Yeah, I don't know. Both lines look quite promising somehow. Capturing towards the center is automatic. Yeah, no, it could be, of course. Yeah, it's. But I think, you know, bishop takes e3. You're just looking for after a move like bishop takes e3, you're just looking for the for a nice central push. So e4, white's just nicely better. Yeah. So black has to play the move e5, and then you just claim that it's a bit like a Rhino Italian game where this pawn ends up getting weak, and you claim you're just going to say, okay, well, I'm just going to attack this guy, and you know, and this one's going to be, you know, difficult to defend, and if you start counter-attacking against this one, then you know, with something like bishop f5, then I'm going to play a queen b3 and the b7 will be weak. Oh wow, thanks, Max. Glad that's glad the streams have helped. It's oh, Dinger's play e3. Oh, thanks, Max. That's a really nice thing to say. Thank you. That's why we do it, eh? Grow the game. But no, I mean there is lots to be enthusiastic about in chess. So glad that that's come across in all this. Lovely. Dinger's played bishop e3, which doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I also think it's probably the better move. And then Gukesh has played e5 quickly. So he's trying to rattle his preparation. So there's an interesting, the interesting thing I think, or the key thing for Ding here is when to move a3. You can do it at various times, actually. Maybe it doesn't make so much difference, but you've got to do it at some stage, because the point about, so for example, bishop e6 and now a3, the point about playing that move a3, bishop e6 here, a3, is that you stop the knight coming to b4. And then after a5, they move like queen b3, and there's no knight b4 anymore. So this is kind of the key thing here. But yeah, I'd expect knight 3 castles and rook e1. If Ding's got any sort of preparation still in his head, then I'm sure that this would be in it. And you know, in this position, Black's got a little choice to make. So what is this for Black? What is White aiming to do, first of all? White's got two ideas here, basically. Yeah. So one idea is just to play the move d4. For example, I think if you played the move bishop f5, you probably would play the move d4 here in reply. At least you'd consider it very seriously. Takes, and now either the move queen d4 or bishop d4, probably queen d4, I think. I mean, you're attacking this this pawn on b7, so that's slightly awkward. If you I'd take on here, and then I'm attacking e7 and b7, quite a nasty little thing. And if you go c6, I think maybe there's even a move like queen f4, which feels interesting. Hitting the bishop and then preparing to play the rook on d1. It's not massive, but it is much more pleasant for White, this. You know, I mean, it's more pleasant for White just because Black's got a little bit less of a little less space, and White's got some nice stuff. You know, it's yeah, I've played these also. Maybe instead of queen f4, maybe even queen e5 is nice. Bishop e6 and rook d1. It's not for the Black queen to find a good spot there. And there's always this pressure of the bishops, these two pawns, that stops Black easily getting the rooks over. It's very much a sort of a Capablanca, the way that Capablanca used to play these sort of positions, you know. So so that's one idea for White, and Black's got to be a little bit careful for that. I mean, Black could play the move instead of bishop f5 is quite bold, hitting the pawn on wall. Bishop g4 is possible, but then we'll just go h3, I guess. And if takes, well, we've got the bishop pair, and yeah, we've still got attacks on the queen side somehow. So this is for White, and with the bishop pair gone, I mean, stuff like bishop c6 is going to be possible, right? No longer a bishop to attack the king side, and bad black pawns. So Ding is the better player. Yeah, that's an interesting thought, Max. Possibly you're right, actually. Possibly you're right. I think Ding probably is objectively best level. I think Ding probably is a bit better than Gukesh. You're probably right, actually. You're probably. It's not a big difference, but probably right. I think you look at the best games that Ding has played, and you look at the best games that Gukesh has played, and probably Ding is a bit better. But yeah, he's not quite. The thing about Gukesh, of course, is that this guy is incredibly stable somehow, and I mean, he was suffering like crazy yesterday, but he pulled himself together, and just kept, just decided, okay, then we fight. We start, we just go, yeah, we just go and ask Ding to find some moves somehow, you know, and yeah, that's the real champion mentality, yeah. Exactly. It's no, I mean, I think Gukesh thoroughly deserves to win. I think that's absolutely true. But I think, you know, that Ding just had just been a little bit more in the zone somehow mentally. I think he'd be one up now rather than Gukesh, maybe. Not sure. It's difficult to say. Difficult to say. I do think to say that Ding's best level is probably just a little bit higher still than Gukesh. But yeah, okay. You've got this guy who's 18, right? Who I played the English Open. I always found it difficult to face, and then I started playing it as white, and then found that I played against it better as black. I was up and down with it really with white. Sometimes I played some really good games, and other times I didn't quite get it somehow. It's difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy to play. Dormo pointed out A3, A5, 3. I saw that on Leela's or A3. Yeah. Oh, then Leela's saying Bishop F5 and then Queen B3. This is quite interesting as well. Oh, then we're really getting into it. Well, we'll see whether Gukesh has got some preparation or not, because it's not easy to go into if. Yeah, I don't know. I hope so too. But it really, you know, again, it depends on energy, really. I think that's something that, you know, that often gets a little bit underestimated somehow, is that, I mean, I've had moments in my career where I've wanted to play and yet I've been bored and just nothing has come out somehow. You can't even default. Oh, that's yeah. I mean, if you're inclined or Slav player or whatever, the C4 E6 or C4 C6 move orders are really good. That's that works really well. But it's more if you're against a D4, if you're a Queen's Gambit accepted player or something like that, then yeah, that's always tough. Nimzo players also suffer a bit because you can play this C4 E6, Knight F3, Knight F6, Knight C3, Bishop B4 lines, but they're not. Indeed. But yeah, the A3, A5 is pretty interesting somehow. I mean, Ding's thinking, but he does think a lot somehow. I would have thought maybe trying to work out what his move order actually is. So is it to go A3 first, or is it to go Knight C3? But I would have thought he'd just go, yeah, you know, I would have thought Knight C3, castles, rook E1. Nothing bad can happen to you there. So I would have thought you would do that. But yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's better just not to be worse, right? And just to go for then try and make something of not being worse, rather than trying to make it interesting and just ending up being worse. It's it can be quite tricky. It's yeah, hard to say. I mean, Ding's thinking a lot now. I do think that Ding is my suspicion about Ding really is that he's, you know, really at the end of his energy as well, you know, so finding it very hard to make decisions. You know, that's what happens when you get low energy. You want to play quickly, but as soon as you make a quick move, you feel it's bad. Otherwise, you get paralyzed making decisions. You know, that's yeah, that's one of the problems of playing chess without energy somehow. And yeah, I mean, I think Gukesh is quite in a similar state. I think yesterday was sort of, you know, he played this D5 really quickly, and then afterwards thought for ages trying to correct it. But yeah, I mean, you know, 12 game, yeah, you know, Ding was, you know, suffering with a bit with health issues before the match. First time for Gukesh, age teen, playing a match of this size and pressure. You know, I mean, they're bound, you know, it's bound to take a toll on your nerves somehow. But okay, yeah, you know, I mean, both players have got to try and make something of it. Yeah, would be nice if Ding would just play a few quicker moves somehow here. I mean, actually, if you look at what the possibilities are in this position, d4 has been played, which is possible, but really, I think that's not a good move, right? I mean, I think this is or not a good move. It's fine, probably, but it's not the most challenging, right? You just get this structure very early, which is symmetrical in principle. Anxiety is something. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Sometimes it's better just to sometimes you just need that stimulation of I could lose this, have that feeling. It stimulates you onto bigger things. And sometimes that's just the last thing that you needed somehow. It's difficult to say. This I wouldn't recommend. I mean, this is a decent structure for white, slight edge, tiny. But doing it so early, you're not giving any opportunity to gain anything else. So I wouldn't do that. H3 is. I don't think that bishop coming to G4 is a particular worry, to be honest. G4 might be irritating one time. That's possible. But for me, the jury's out on whether this is a useful move or not. Both D4 and H3 are interesting annotations from the Hierarch's book. Yeah, or without realizing you were superior, without letting. But I think that's just. It's also an artifact of Dingsink as well, that he was trying to keep himself tight, not expose anything somehow, and part of is not getting too excited when he's better somehow. I think that's Steffson actually who said that one, between not wanting to lose and not wanting to think. I think that was Steffson. It is a great quote indeed. So the other moves are rook e1 and knight c3, which of course are the most normal moves. Just having to see what's happened there. Rook e1, knight c3, looking at yeah, and then bishop e6 gets an exclamation mark here. Oops, sorry, not here. So rook e1, bishop e6, which is Leela's top moves, gets an exclamation mark here. And what here we get? D4 gets a dubious. H3 gets a dubious. Well, remember the bishop's attacking c4 as well, so not a great. Yeah, that's probably going to be slightly better for black. And bishop g5 gets a dubious, but nothing suggested for white that might be better. So, yeah, I'm not sure how strong the players were. They weren't enormously strong here, I think. But A3 is what Leela wants. Looks very nice. Stop B4, maybe threaten B4 as well. So black plays A5 and then white plays queen B3, hitting B7. The idea being that queen takes is likely to be good for white somehow. I mean, you can't do this because I go knight D2, hit and open the line of the queen on the knight there. So and knight C3 played and castles. That's good. A3 bishop F5 or rook e1 bishop e6 A3. Interesting. So Leela, after A3, Leela wants bishop F5 somehow. Interesting. But, yeah, okay, queen B3, and then Leela doesn't dare take the pawn on B3, and then plays move knight D5, which is quite interesting. Rook A D1 would be interesting, but and then plays 4. A slight edge, though not too much. But okay, yeah, I mean, you're going to have this, you've got some pressure inside, bishop attacking A7, queen attacking B7. The queen's coming to C3, that's a nice little from Leela. Attacking this one and G7. I mean, white, this is definitely a position you'd much rather be white in than black. So, Yifan said Fischer. Wow. Yeah. Impressive. But Bobby was very impressive. Of course, he was deeply impressive. There's some books. There's a very nice book by Timon about the lead up to his to the World Championship match with Spassky and all that he did. And you tend to just march through, and it was just smashing people left, right, and centre. But you look at the actual games, and he was grinding these 2300s or 400 IMs, just for 90 moves, you know, as often as he was winning, you know, clear games somehow. It was he was just unstoppable, but not in a defeating everyone in 20 moves kind of way, just unstoppable in that he was just winning every single position somehow, no how, you know. It was that was deeply impressive, actually, maybe even more impressive than the legend somehow. It was he was simply you know, utter relentless as a player. I think that was his enormous strength. You know, he was able to play incredibly accurately for long periods of time, and he was able to yeah, to outlast people, and you know, yeah, very much Magnusy, really. You know, it's yes, no, Eric, it's they've been really speedy somehow, haven't they? It's yeah, but yeah, Ding thinking a very long time here about, yeah, I think he must still be prepared here, but I think he's kind of scratching his head trying to remember which was the move order that we'd agreed on. Was it 8-3? Was it rook e1? It seems to make a little bit of difference for Leela. After a3, Leela wants to play f5, and after rook e1 wants to play bishop e6 and then play a5 to stop pawns. So yeah, seems to make a little bit of difference. But yeah, the winning percentages are you know, are not so completely different. Let's have a look. What is Ding going to do? I think he'll play rook e1. I think that's the move I think he's going to play. And then is Black going to do here? I mean, maybe Gukesh could try the move knight g4 here. Actually, I wonder, and Leela knight odds. Oh, that's a very interesting question indeed. So just for those who don't know, there's going to be a match on Thursday evening, British time, 8 o'clock, that I'm going to be commentating on, which is between Awanda, so young American player, 2690, phenomenal bullet player. I've watched him playing; is freakishly fast, but he's playing Leela knight odds at 10 minutes plus 5. Now that time control is my impression of the time control where a very strong GM like Awanda probably should be considered a favorite. Slight to medium favorite. So maybe if you said a 6-game match, I'd think maybe 4-2 for Awanda, something like that. That's what I'm kind of expecting. You've always got to watch out with Leela, because Leela does some crazy, is incredibly good. But I would have, that would be enough to keep control and deal. It gives you just enough time to, when Leela does something odd, need to recalibrate. You've got a moment in there to recalibrate. And Awanda is so good at bullet and blitz. You know, in the final phase for finishing things off, I think he'll be able to do it fine. You know, so but it's possible, right? There's the number. I'm doing a series on all the tactics that have happened in Queen, at Rook, and Knight odds, and yeah, I mean, you just see people losing. There's one coming up where in the Queen odds section, a 2600 plus Lichess player loses not at 1-0 either, but he loses in 10 moves to Leela at. It gets mated, in actual fact. It's just so a very nice one. But yeah, so I think Older is a favourite at 10 plus 5, I think. But and I think when you start getting to +3, then I think it's really on a knife edge then, and a bit less than that, I think you're probably going to struggle in a longer match. I wonder, not sure really. Not sure. David's rating has gone down a little bit, but he's super strong. I mean, he's been way above 2700 before, whereas Awanda hasn't yet, I think. So, yeah, they're probably quite similar somehow. No, Leela's just going to be playing night odds there, so it's just going to be just going for it with the standard configuration, I think. So it's going to be a great match. I would recommend tune in to this channel, watch it on Lichess. It's should be very interesting. Well, I think Navarra's dropped somewhat, 2670 now or something, but it's been 2740. Navarra. It's a really strong player. But Wanda's really strong as well, and a phenomenal bullet player. Wow. He's 3100 bullet or something. So, yeah, no, the idea of knight g4, bishop c1, I was thinking bishops actually. That was what I was kind of thinking. Just try and disrupt the white position. And if you go something like rook f1, for example, I go bishop f5, and then I come back, but I've just gained some moves somehow. Ding has played rook e1. I do think, to be honest, that he was vaguely questioning himself about whether rook e1, knight g4 was a line. It's possible. I mean, if knight e5, go bishop b4 like this, and yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe rook e2, I'm playing f5 here, and knight g5, I'm b4, this sort of thing somehow. 8 p.m. British time. Yeah, it's UTC. That's right. Match is lasting about 3 hours minimum, they said. So, yeah, knight e4, yeah, as I said there, I'm going bishop b4. And then afterwards, I want to play something with f5. It's very aggressive. You'd need to have prepared this to play this, but it's not so stupid. I mean, if you go knight c3, I go bishop c3 and then e4 there. It's kind of possible. Let's have a look. What's Leela suggesting here? Let's have a look at Leela's moves. Leela likes bishop e6, bishop f5. Knight g4 too low, yeah? Knight g4 is not too low. Oh, look at Leela. Bishop Leela wants. Leaving the pawn on d3 hanging. Ooh. But then shouldn't be taken, and then the game's on reasonably normally. That's quite interesting. But knight g4 is quite... there's been one actually. There's a Chess Base India video a little while back where Gukesh was asked to show his book library and what his favorite books are, and he pointed out Game Changer there. So actually to Gukesh at London, and together with Natasha, and yeah, he said some nice stuff about Game Changer. So yeah, now I knew that he was pretty keen on it somehow. But yeah, I didn't really know about Ding, although Ding has mentioned stuff about Arrow before, but I didn't know that he'd read the book either. So yeah, no, it's nice. I'm very, very happy with all that. So what are we looking at here? Gukesh has got a choice now, and it's going to be interesting to see how quickly he plays. I think maybe bearing in mind and Ding for adjusting for what happened yesterday with a quick move, I think that Gukesh is going to at least 10-15 minutes here to work out what he wants to do, even if he sort of knows what he wants to do. I know the kids, I mean, it's all the modern kids, right? They just grow up with being very much at ease with technology. But I do think that the Indian kids have very much sort of looked at engines, AlphaZero and all that, and tried to really understand a little bit what it's all about, what it's really about, and what you could really learn from it, rather than just, being easy with the technology, databases and all that, and knowing how to use. The feeling they just try to do a little bit more with it. And to be honest, I think okay. It's I think that Magnus was really quick to pick up on the AlphaZero stuff and computer science stuff or anything like that. But somehow, like you had the feeling that he read Game Changer, and after that he had one of his best years ever. I'm not claiming that's completely related. You saw a lot of those themes coming out in his games. A number of his games. There's one against Grishuk in particular. Where you just sort of, wow, that could have been an AlphaZero game somehow, the way that he played. But you just get the feeling that, I mean, I think that's Magnus's in North, right? The thing that he's better at than anyone else is that you can just tell him an idea and he just he picks it up instantly. If it makes sense, it slots into his mind, and then he starts using it straight away. You know, it's coached kids before. No, I haven't coached kids. I've always sort of shied away from that, really. I like doing it occasionally. I mean, I like, I've done some training weekends or training days at Brentwood Chess School, which is a school in England. It's run by Richard Pert, brother of Nick Pert. So he's an IM, very nice guy. Also got a couple of kids, Nina and oh, good Lord, how can I forget Max who play chess. But yeah, so I've done some training. Yeah, it's great fun, super fun to do it. I'm a bit worried about doing any bigger training commitment somehow. It's a big commitment, and you've got to take it serious. And I'm never quite sure I'm ready for that. You know, with work and all that, I prefer not to have too many commitments somehow. But and also, I'm not sure. I mean, the best coach that I've ever had is just for 2 weeks. Then was Mark Dvoretsky. Was a really great coach, but a really good coach is a really empathetic, and you know they're not just showing you stuff; they're also understanding you and helping you like that. And I'm not quite sure I have that in my character somehow. No, I don't do coaching in general. There, that's. I think if I did something, it would be a very exceptional. Yeah, I don't know. It would really have to click with somebody and really think, oh, that's really worth it. I really am a kid then, and I love doing that somehow. But in general, I don't. The audio is quite jumpy. What do you think, guys? I mean, should I try and disconnect and reconnect with a different internet? I suspect that it's my restreaming provider that's doing it, but yeah, I mean, if it's too bad, then I can try and reconnect somewhere else. Bugging out a little bit. It's let me know what you think. If it's unbearable, then I will disconnect. If it's vaguely okay, then you know, I might try and stay with it, because I'm just worried about making it worse. Basically, it's not that bad. Okay, if I can, if it gets, oh, please do that. Okay, right. Well, if Mr. Beads asks for it, then the general rule is that that you have to. Jumpy but tolerable. Okay, but I'm not ideal. I'll just give it a go. I'll just give it a go. I'm going to end the stream, and I'm going to come right back. Okay. Let me just end the stream, and I'm going to connect back with an internet. Just give me 2 minutes, because it's probably